Hi. Ghost Recaps here. Today we will be going through an action, sci-fi movie from 2013. Named, Elysium. There will be spoilers ahead in this video, so chill out and enjoy. In 2154, the population is divided into two social classes. The wealthy live in Elysium, a space station containing all resources. Elysium is a utopian city where there is no sadness or disease. It has all kinds of luxurious facilities, and the most important of them is the medbay. Medbays are privately owned healing rooms that can instantly cure any disease or any type of physical injury known to humanity. Now Earth is inhabited only by the poor, like the orphan Max and his best friend Frey. They spend a lot of time together and enjoy reading books about Elysium. Max dreams of going to Elysium, and he promises Frey that one day he will take her there. However, after several years, Max has grown up to become a criminal. He and Frey have lost contact, while their mother, Jessie, is no more. Max is trying to overcome his criminal past and takes a normal job at the Armadine Corporation, a factory where weapons are made for Elysium and robot police. But even though he is on good behavior, Officer Robot stops him at the bus station to check his bags just because of his criminal history. Max jokingly responds to them, causing the robot to push him to the ground and injure his arm. After the robots find nothing in his bag and let him go, Max goes to the hospital and is shocked to see Frey, whom he hasn't seen in a while. Frey looks after her, and Max asks her out on a date. Frey accepts after some hesitation. Max then goes to work, where half of his salary is deducted for coming late. John Carlyle, CEO of Armadine Corporation, is a resident of Elysium. He stays on Earth to take care of the factories and only cares about the profit of the company. They have absolutely no sympathy for the problems of their workers. Meanwhile, a group of rebels led by hacker Spider is giving people fake IDs, and getting them into shuttles to try to reach Elysium to receive medical care. As the ships draw closer, Elysium's Secretary of Defense, Jessica Delacourt, is alerted to the breach. The people coming from Earth are warned, but they do not return, so Jessica orders the activation of Kruger, a sleeping agent hidden on Earth. Kruger equips himself with a missile launcher and manages to shoot down two shuttles before they reach the station. The third survives the missile and lands on Elysium. However, before the shipwrecked can escape, Jessica orders the guards to capture everyone aboard. Police helicopters and robots follow and arrest Earthers. The only two people able to reach Med-B are a mother and her sick daughter. She places her sick daughter in Med-B, and the girl immediately recovers. Just then, the robot police authenticate the two. Those who oppose the Earthlings are executed, while others are sent back to Earth. Back on Earth, Max is at work when a door in his workplace becomes jammed. His manager tells him to go inside to fix it, which Max must obey if he doesn't want to lose his job, even though it is very dangerous. Max obliges, but as soon as he walks in, the door closes, and he is incinerated by a wave of deadly radiation. Max is ejected and sent to the company's medical bay, where a robot tells him he will die in 5 days. The robot gives him some drugs that will keep him functioning properly until he dies. CEO John arrives and finds Max lying on the bed, but he is more concerned about the bed being ruined than Max's health. Right after the last mission, Jessica is summoned by President Patel of Elysium. When she used a sleeper agent and killed 46 civilians, Jessica said she would do anything to save Elysium for the sake of her future children. Jessica explains that she will do whatever is necessary to protect her home and their families from the intruders. However, Patel threatens Jessica with firing her if she causes more casualties and orders her to stop using Kruger immediately. Back on Earth, Kruger is asked to return all his weapons as his service is no longer required. He is furious and feels that Jessica has betrayed him. Meanwhile, Max tries to go home, but he is feeling very ill. He seeks out the criminal Spider, hoping to travel to Elysium, where he can access a healing room called the Med Bay capable of curing any disease and saving his life. Max's delinquent friend Julio takes him to Spider, where Max asks Spider for an identification brand and a ticket to Elysium, promising to come back and work for him. He reminds Spider that he spent 3 years in prison for him. Spider decides to make Max an offer. The mission will involve Max finding a billionaire and getting all their access data so they can empty the billionaire's bank accounts. Max has no other way to save his life, so he accepts the offer. It is revealed that the high-ranking official Max is supposed to get information from is John, the man who cared more about Max's bedsheets than his life. Spider knows that Max cannot complete his mission in his physical state, so they attach a third-generation powered exoskeleton to Max's body and wire a data collection device to his brain. The exoskeleton gives Max the strength of a droid. Meanwhile, Elysium's Secretary of Defense, Jessica, with John's support, plots a coup against President Patel. John devises a new computer protocol called Saber Cerebral Defense and programs it into his brain device. He also encrypts it with a denial system that kills anyone who tries to download and use the program. He then boards a shuttle for a flight to Elysium. At the same time, Max and his group arrive at John's facility to capture him. When the shuttle takes off, Max shoots at it, causing the shuttle's engine to fail and eventually crash. Jessica, who has been tracking John, learns that John has been attacked and that an ex-convict named Max DaCosta is behind it. He called Kruger. Kruger demands that he be reinstated if he decides to save John. Jessica allows it, then arranges for 2 of Kruger's former associates to pick him up. Max and his team track down John and extract important information from him, but a droid confronts them, and a shootout ensues. John is shot in the process. They succeed in defeating the droid and extracting the necessary information from John's brain, but discover that all the data is messed up. At the same time, the military ship appears, and the group decides to flee. Max suddenly gets a headache. Then Kruger and his gang come in. When Max tries to escape, he falls, and Julio has to stay to help him up. Something about the downloaded data is giving him a headache. The weapons on the shuttle Kruger is on are very effective. He shoots and overturns one of the vehicles that Max and his men were using. When Max crawls out, Kruger approaches and stabs him. Kruger is about to decapitate Max when Julio shoots Kruger in the neck. Kruger mercilessly thrusts his sword into Julio's chest. Max uses this distraction to get a gun and tries to shoot Kruger, but Kruger creates an energy shield and is knocked unconscious instead of dying, and Max manages to escape. Jessica learns that John has died of blood loss. When Kruger regains consciousness, she tells him that Max has the data. Jessica orders that Max be captured but not harmed by his brain. Kruger follows orders and sets out to find Max, while Jessica jams all signals in the area so no other spaceships can leave. Kruger now knew what the data transfer between John and Max was about. Kruger deploys 6 tracking discs, which begin flying around the city in an attempt to locate Max. In the evening, Frey is getting ready to take Matilda home, and as she leaves, she sees Max covered in blood and in need of help. She brings him to her home, where she has the medical supplies needed to help him. As she is tending to his stab wound, she notices that he has a tattoo, the same thing he once wrote on her arm with an ink pen when they were kids. Max wakes up the next day and sees a little girl in front of him. It turns out that she is Frey's daughter, who is ill with leukemia and has little time to live. Frey wants Max to take her daughter to Elysium so she can recover, but Max says she is being followed by very dangerous people, and they will be killed if they try. When Max leaves the building, a robot finds him. Max throws a rock at it and knocks him out of the sky, but Kruger knows where Max is. They infiltrate Frey's home, discovering that Max had visited Frey the previous night for treatment. Kruger arrests Frey and Matilda for harboring a criminal. Max approaches Spider and demands that he take her to Elysium immediately. Spider tells Max that the no-fly order is in effect, so nothing can be done for the time being. Spider looks at the code in Max's brain and is surprised to see that it is the code to reset and reboot the entire Elysium. If they can manage to make everyone a citizen of Elysium, then all humans can enjoy the medbay facility, which will cause no more disease in the world. However, Max states that he only has a few hours left to live, so he will use data as a bribe in exchange for the ticket. Max wants to sell the data to Jessica for a chance to use medbay and save her life. Max returns to the location of the disc he dropped from the sky, looks into its camera, and tells Kruger to come pick it up. When Kruger comes to pick him up, Max pulls out a grenade and threatens Kruger to blow his own head off and destroy the reboot program if he doesn't take him to Elysium. Kruger promises that he will take her to Elysium. Kruger invites Max into the shuttle, where Max is surprised to see Frey and Matilda. Kruger informs Jessica that the code has been found, and Jessica unlocks the signal, allowing Kruger's ship to depart for Elysium with Frey, his daughter, and Max. Spider learns that Max is on a shuttle and is headed to Elysium, as he planted a tracking device in it before Max took off. Spider and 2 of his men board their own shuttle and take off for Elysium. On the ship, Kruger misbehaves with Frey, which angers Max. Their small argument escalates into a shootout inside the ship, and Kruger swoops in and grabs a grenade from Max's hand. Max and Kruger fall, and the grenade rolls away. It blows up and destroys half of Kruger's face. The ship's control system is damaged, and it crashes into a grand house in Elysium. When Max regains consciousness, he takes Matilda away from the shuttle to a safe place and goes back to Frey, who was strapped to her seat. He uses his newfound power to help her. Frey goes inside the nearest house in search of medbay. Kruger's men also wake up and begin fighting Max. Frey takes advantage of the opportunity to take Matilda inside a house and put her in medbay. But because Matilda is not recognized as a legitimate citizen, medbay won't work, so the guards eventually capture them all and take them to Jessica. Kruger's men put him in the medbay and healed his face. Meanwhile, Jessica puts Max on a machine to extract all the information from his head. The information is fine, but Max will die if they try to extract it. She tells her men to go ahead with it, as Max's life is of no value to her. Spider arrives in his shuttle and manages to land without anyone noticing. He immediately heads to where his tracking device tells him where Max is. Kruger's men lock up Frey and Matilda. Moments later, Max manages to free himself and attacks the technicians to get them to confess Frey's location. At the same time, Jessica reproaches Kruger for crashing her spaceship and endangering the lives of Elysium citizens. Enraged, Kruger thrusts a piece of glass into Jessica's throat and kills her. Meanwhile, Max is searching for Frey when he sees Spider on CCTV. He contacts her and tells her to proceed with his plan to make everyone a citizen of Elysium and thus eliminate all disease from Earth. Kruger is now outfitted in a military-grade exoskeleton far superior to Max's droid suit and orders Frey and Matilda to be killed. But then Max shows up and kills Kruger's man. Max teleports Frey to the surface with Matilda and tells Frey to take Matilda to medbay, promising that this time it will work. Max teams up with Spider, reminding him that their deal will only go through if Frey brings her daughter to medbay. Spider sends one of his men to help Frey. Kruger blows up one of Spider's men. Some high-frequency sounds are broadcast, which incapacitate Max, as he cannot stand them. An intense fight ensues between Max and Kruger, but Max does not last long in front of Kruger. However, the tide of the battle turns when Max succeeds in removing Kruger's neural chip, destroying his entire system. After defeating him, Max and Spider get to the mainframe and prepare to extract the code from Max's brain. Max connects his brain to Elysium systems. Spider does all the necessary programming, then gives Max a remote control to trigger the reboot, explaining that if Max chooses to press the button, he will die. Since CEO John has coded that anyone who extracts the code will be killed, the only way to save everyone else in the world is for Max to die. Max uses the computer to contact Frey. He apologizes for not being able to be with her but also tells her that he kept his promise and brought her to Elysium. After an emotional moment, he presses the button to reboot Elysium systems and kills himself in the process. Just as President Patel arrives with security to arrest Spider. Elysium reboots, and everyone on Earth becomes a citizen of Elysium. Medbay reads Matilda in as a legitimate patient and begins treating her, while the robots refuse to arrest Spider as it is against the law to arrest Elysium citizens. Everyone on Earth becomes a citizen of Elysium. Now he can come to Elysium whenever he wants to be treated for his illness. Max dies, Spider is released, Matilda recovers, and several aid shuttles are sent to Earth to help the new citizens. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Have a nice day.